Hey everyone, in this video we're going to be correcting sentence 2 and 3 under set 3 on our sentence correction sheet. We're going to begin with sentence 2. Our sentence says, "Hey Elena," asked Stephen Barron Sr. as we unpacked, "did you forget the grapes? You forgot the t-shirts too? Oh brother." In this sentence we're going to add quotation marks. We're also going to add a hyphen. We need to address end punctuation, and we'll add other commas. So first, let's look at our quotation marks. So as we can see in our sentence, somebody is asking a question, and so we know that we're looking at direct quotations. So we're going to put our direct quotations in quotation marks. I'm going to start by putting quotation marks around "Hey" and "Elena." Then that phrase, "asked Stephen Barron Sr." is an interruption, and the quote begins back up again at the word "did." The quotation mark ends at "brother." Next, we need to add a hyphen. The word that should be hyphenated is t-shirts. So my hyphen is going to go between the T and shirts. I also need to fix end punctuation. So in this sentence, Stephen Barron Sr. is asking a question. However, right after the word grapes, we have a period. I'm going to change this to a quotation or a question mark. And last, I have one more. I'm so sorry. I have one more end punctuation. At the end of this sentence here, he's exclaiming, "Oh brother." So I also need to have my exclamation point there. That should take care of my end punctuation. And lastly, I have some commas that I have to add. So now when we use introductions, words like "hey" or "hello," we need to separate the introduction from the word or the person that we're speaking to. So I'm going to add a comma between "hey" and "Elena." I also need to set off my quotation mark from this interruption here. So I'm also going to add a comma after "Elena." I need to separate my name from my title, and so I'm going to add a comma between Barron and Sr. A comma goes after Sr. as well. And lastly, I need to add a comma right before the start of my right before my quotation mark. So I'm going to add a comma after "unpacked." That would take care of all of our comma errors, and now our sentence has been corrected. Let's take a look at sentence 3. Our sentence says, "The lungfish, an unusual animal, has both lungs and gills. Therefore, it can breathe either underwater or on land." In this sentence, we're going to add a semicolon. We're also going to add commas to show that we have an appositive. We have 2 spelling errors, and we need to add other commas. Let's begin with our semicolon. So now our semicolon can be used right before we have a transition. The transition word in this sentence is that word "therefore." And if you remember back to our semicolon notes a few weeks ago, we talked about a certain formula that you can use. The formula states that we should use a semicolon right after a complete sentence, before the transition, and a comma would follow. Then we would have another complete sentence. So, to use that formula, I'm going to put my comma, or my semicolon rather, before my transition "therefore." Like I said, I also need to use a comma after that word "therefore." That would be my other comma. Next, I also need to add commas to show that we have an appositive. Now, an appositive is a noun phrase that renames another noun in the sentence. So, to find this error, I need to ask myself, what's the main noun being described in my sentence? You should say lungfish. So now, to locate that appositive, I also need to ask myself, what else could we call the lungfish? According to this sentence, we could also call it an unusual animal. That phrase, an unusual animal, is my appositive. So now to set my appositive off from the rest of the sentence, I'm going to add a comma after lungfish and after animal. And lastly, we have two spelling errors to fix. As you probably could hear from the reading of the sentence, this word breath should be breathe. To make it breathe, I'm going to add an E to the end. And my last spelling error is either. In either, this A should be an I. If you have any questions about how we have corrected our sentence, please feel free to reach out and I'll be sure to answer your questions as soon as I can. Thanks for watching, everyone.